Another day, another ride. Hello dear viewer. One day isn't enough to see all the sights in Cluj, but my journey continues and I've certainly gotten a good impression of the city, thanks in part to Sorin. It was a shame that it started raining late yesterday afternoon. It continued all night and it's still not dry this morning. So I'll wait a bit before I load my luggage onto Tricity and leave Cluj a little later. It will be my last full day in Romania. Today's trip goes to Oradea, which is not far from the border between Romania and Hungary. The distance is approximately 189 kilometers. Although the forecast was for dry weather, I did encounter some rain along the way. Not for long, but heavy enough to require my rain gear. After the initial stretch of wide busy roads was over, the ride became increasingly pleasant. Route 108A was especially enjoyable. Not only had it recently been resurfaced, but it also had some lovely winding sections. The views were often beautiful, and I passed through charming villages. Based on what I had seen on Google Maps, I had not expected the area to be so surprisingly beautiful. The only downside was that there were hardly any gas stations along the way, and at one point I really needed one. Fortunately, there was a very small gas station in Bodia. To fill up, you had to pay in advance at the machine and specify the amount you wanted. But the machine only spoke Romanian, so that wasn't immediately clear to me. There was a tiny office where a girl came out to check if everything was alright. Her English was also practically non-existent, but with Google Translate she explained what I needed to do. However, the machine couldn't handle my foreign debit card, so I still couldn't get fresh gas. The girl called someone, and very soon a young woman drove onto the property who spoke good English. But she too couldn't figure out why the machine was having such a hard time with my debit card, so she called someone from the oil company. They were able to remotely bring up other screens on the machine, after which I was able to refill Trixie with gasoline. Meanwhile, other people had arrived who also wanted to use the machine, but the young woman told them to wait, and they accepted it without complaint. The young woman felt sorry for me that everything had been so difficult and offered me a cup of coffee. I couldn't refuse. From our conversation, it turned out she had worked in the UK for several years to earn enough money to buy a house in Bodia with a garden large enough to grow her own vegetables and keep some animals. Her parents had a large farm in the village, with cows, pigs, sheep and horses. Meanwhile, I was introduced to her children as their new friend. I also had to meet her mother and her dog, Bobby. When the conversation turned to my trip, she asked if I only ate in restaurants and stayed in hotels. When I said I camp a lot, but that finding campsites in Romania is quite a challenge, she confirmed. There are hardly any, if any. The fact that I had cooking utensils with me prompted her to offer me homegrown tomatoes, bell peppers and a homemade sausage. Unfortunately, I had to decline because I don't have enough room to bring them. The sausage was also very large. She was so open and spontaneous that she also told me she was having some trouble raising her children because they wouldn't listen to her. Her husband is a truck driver who is only home on weekends and spoils the kids, so she doesn't have any support there either. In the Netherlands, you don't often encounter someone so open with a complete stranger, as I ultimately am to her. But I won't soon forget her.